Now I am fairly certain I double tapped the share button going into the start of this race, but nevertheless, Sony's PlayStation 4 console profusely disagrees with me, and quite frankly, you've buggered the start of my video, Sony, so thank you very much. But if that means I get to hang on to third, having avoided the calamities of the start, I'll take it. And on the right hand side there, Sean Else just had an accident so fatal that it seems to have required medical attention as he takes a stop at A&E. And we are moving on to lap 10 now, comfortably into second position then, 17 minutes into this race. Now I know I haven't lived up to my promise and I haven't delivered you the start, but I mean, look at the footage here. I mean, I was even checking the listings and the minimap to make sure I wasn't the only person driving around the track. Things were looking so bleak, so dull, I was so starved of human activity that I started to make stupid mistakes like smashing into this pole. But finally, I came across another human being, Evil Tunic, the man himself, the host of the Benefactor Championship. And I believe we're about to both dive into the pits, so this is going to come down to a battle of the pit crews. Which crew can service their man faster and get their car off and running again in the quickest time? Well, I'll give you a little clue. It's not going to be mine, as Evil Tunic gets away right away because my crew have got no idea what they're doing, much like Bertomobile there, who hasn't seemed to have grasped that the pit lane is the place to repair your car, not come in and damage it further. And on the left-hand side, Mike and Pac-Man have just snuck through for second and third, so that's going to drop me out of a podium position. However, at least we now know where we stand. I extended my first stint to be in this position, so now the chase for the top 3 spots is on, and I'm about to start exploiting every little dirty secret I know about this track, the Shoemaker, and this is possibly the only track I know that has 120 props, but doesn't manage to block off any of the available curbs, so I'm about to exploit said curbs to do everything in my power to keep Pac-Mahad the privateer behind me. As Pac-Mahad switches to the left-hand side, presumably trying to go for a better line out of this sharp corner. But as I said, the filthy lines are coming into play to keep you behind. So that means grabbing the curb behind the fruit stand, grabbing the curb by the runway hut, and then proceeding to reap the benefits of every gutter, bump, snail, drain, manhole down the main straight as we move on to lap 16. Nothing significant happened on the rest of that lap, so let's proceed to lap 17, and Pac-Mahad, like a bad itch, just would not go away as he puts me under pressure going into turn 1, and I slide between the trees here, so Pac-Mahad has regained the position. But if we just take a quick look ahead there is a very slow-moving red Serrano with the title Must D floating precariously close to the roof of that car. So I'm checking the listings because I do not believe it myself. Must D has been leading this entire race, and finally he has started to crack. Probably the man who put the most practice out of everyone going into this race has dominated it so far, and now, I swear to God. However, everything was going to work itself out because Musty and Pac-Mahad were going to have a coming together, and I was more than happy to take advantage of Pac-Mahad's incident on the right there, so I'm slipping into third, and the real chase now for Musty and second position is on. As we come around the final corner of the lap here. Mushroom Pie Man, how is this even within the realms of possibility? I just don't understand. As we lose the closeness that we had to Musty, and I am being pressured once again by the privateer Pac-Mahad. So he seems to have a much better run than me out of this corner, even with a little bit of curb from myself. He has got all sorts of speed going into this fast right-hander, so I'm going to try and defend it. I'm going to use my dirty lines, which worked for me before. And they seem to have worked for me again as Pac-Mahad gets a little bit too feisty going into that right-hander. And finally, I suffer the consequences of going for some of the most illegal lines. Now, if you've been wondering how the hell are you making all these mistakes and still holding on to third, well, your question's about to be answered. I'm not. As I try to rejoin the track, completely unaware of how many mistakes I've been making and almost wipe Sean L out in the process. So, with yet another mistake under my belt, who was right on my tail once again? None other than Pac-Mahad, as we engaged in a final battle as this race drew to a close. And once again, Pac-Man had all sorts of speed over me going into this left-hander, so I was going to try to defend the inside, but it was at this moment when I realised my Serrano no longer wanted to turn left, and it was at that moment when Pac-Man had realised his Serrano no longer wanted to turn right. And in all this kerfuffle, it was at this decisive moment where we both realised that James Nash was creeping precariously closer to the pair of us, so it was time to put the hammer down and try to escape in the final lap here, which I did manage to do, so I was quite pleased with that. As Mike brings home the win, Sean gets second, I start two-wheeling round the final corner, Must D must have wrapped up third position, and, well, Sony have buggered us once again. The footage stopped right there, so you'll have to deal with that, I'm afraid. Congratulations to Mike. Master of the SUV. Back-to-back wins in the SUV class. Congratulations to Mike for that. And there are the timings. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.